Welcome, So-La-Rah here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm going to do a reading, but before I do a reading, I have something that I need to say. But before I even get into that, let me welcome you all and thank you for being here. Thank you if you've been with me from the beginning or you joined somewhere along the way. Welcome if you're a newer subscriber. I thank you all for being here. I thank you for all the ways you support me on the channel. Thank you for your kind words and your comments and your words of encouragement and affirmation. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for those of you who book services with me. Thank you for your donations. Every way that you contribute to assisting me in growing my own value and ability to walk in the wholeness of my purpose, I truly appreciate. So I want to talk about something that has been becoming more obvious to me over the past couple of days, and that is that there are a lot of huge shifts that are occurring right now in terms of the timelines that people are choosing to connect with. And I spoke about this on my channel So-La-Rah Rises for the full moon in Pisces reading, and I went into it, and I've spoken about it before. I've spoken about it, like I think I began to bring it up in Leo season, because with that full moon in Aquarius showing up at the 9-degree mark of the sun in Leo and the 9 degrees of Aquarius with the moon, it was speaking to me that it was already time to go into the state of hermit mode. And when I began to go into the energies surrounding that moon, what my guides were showing me was that it was important to go into hermit mode because it's time for those of us who are ready to connect to our highest timelines. And as we moved into this full moon in Pisces, it became even more obvious to me why that was also. So the 9 energy is connected to Virgo energy. As you guys know, it is the Hermit in the Tarot. And it's all about going within to find and utilizing the power of the light that you have accrued through your Leo energy, which is through the healing of your heart, through the healing of your inner child, through the recouping of your solar plexus energies, in order to find your way to the next highest timeline that will take you on the Wheel of Fortune. Now, why is this important? I mentioned this in the video I just did. I was talking about this idea, or this I guess you could say this idea. I was talking about this idea in the last video, and then when I went to look at my comments from the video I posted on Friday, I found someone had posted something that was a bit passive aggressive. And it's funny because people think that you read energy but you don't read theirs. It's really funny how that happens. And I've had my eye on this person for a minute because they're one of these beings who show up on your channel and they're all gung-ho and overly enthusiastic, and then in the next moment they're trying to tear you down or complain. And it's just like, if you're not vibing with me, just go. Okay, so I want to say that right now, the things that you resonated with, maybe even a day ago, a few days ago, may not be what you are resonating with anymore. And that's okay. Why is this important for you to know? Because the Matrix gives you this idea of this term that they call loyalty, where you're supposed to stay in places because you're supposed to, or because you're supposed to be with this person, and yada, yada, yada. And yes, there's such a thing as loyalty, absolutely. But you must first be loyal to self, to thine own self, be true, right? And if your so-called loyalty to someone else causes any kind of betrayal of self, then you know that you are signing yourself up to be in some kind of a karmic lesson or loop. Now, I want to say this to you. Anytime we get stuck in a karmic loop, it is our responsibility to get out of it, okay? Every single being has something to contribute. okay? And even the energies that have been karmic in our lives have helped us to ascend and to grow for as long as we saw the value in them. I state all of this because we're getting back to this place again, and I've talked about it in the past, and maybe it's time for me to talk about it again. But when you have grown out of an energy, or you've grown out of being with someone, or even with a reader, you've grown out of vibing with me, to stay in that situation past the point of like saturation or graduation means that you are choosing to sign on for some kind of a looping energy. And that means that basically what it means is that you have learned everything that your soul needs to learn from that person, whether it's from a reader, from a partner, from a friend, it doesn't matter. You've learned all that your soul needs to learn in that situation. And to stay would mean that you would start to have to learn something by way of suffering. Okay, so that's all a karmic loop really is. It's when we continue to learn by suffering because we choose to stay in places that our soul has already graduated or ascended from. Okay, so when you start to see things like that, there's no judgment on any being, and I'll tell you why. Because the reader I was listening to a year ago, I may not resonate with that person anymore. I may have accrued everything I need to learn from that person for my own individual soul's journey. But it doesn't mean that person, if I'm still sticking around, is getting me stuck in a karmic loop. It means let's take responsibility now, guys, for our own ascension, because that's what ascension is. Ascension is about reconnecting with our own creator, I am energies. Ascension is about breaking out of these energies of the matrix that try to program us to always look outside of ourselves for God, instead of going within and becoming and taking back authority over self, and therefore becoming God over self and reconnecting to source and the God particle that we are in physical existence. That's what ascension is. Anytime, especially at this part of time, this far on the journey for many of you, anytime we choose to say, someone else has got me stuck, someone else has done this, then at that point we are giving that person power. We have stepped off of our throne and we have said that person is God over us, because how else would they have been able to enact that if we had not given them the right to do that? Because are we not sovereign beings, right? So at a certain point in ascension, that giving away of power has to become conscious. We can't continue to blame other beings for where we are. It was, even in the beginning, it wasn't okay. But it was like understandable because we didn't know. But when you get to a certain point where you're claiming to know and you're making brash comments like someone's keeping you in a cycle or a loop, then you're not ascending. You're still placing the blame outside, which means ultimately you're still trying to find someone else to rescue you instead of rescuing yourself. And this is where you're causing your own block. Okay, so another thing that shows me that a person is actually not moving up in frequency, because that's what ascension is. It's healing so you can access your true frequency, which is your frequency is pretty much established by moving into a higher vibration and maintaining that vibration until it becomes a part of your regular energy. So this whole thing in the spiritual community about raising your vibration, it don't mean shit if you don't hold your vibration and it then becomes your frequency. That's another way they kind of like have people in deception. Raise your vibration, raise your vibration and hold it. Anyone can raise their vibration for a few minutes. People do that all the time to get manifestations, but you're not a manifester. or that's not your primary way of bringing forth the things you want in your life. When you're walking in divine alignment, your primary way is by becoming a creator and a co-creator and becoming God over self again, reclaiming your I am truth and your crown. Okay, so I say all of that because the way that you ascend is by reaching your true frequency, by learning how to move through the really dense layers of energies in the matrix. Everything that would try to cap you off, everything that would try to get you stuck in a lower vibration so you begin to create a frequency from that level. Your job is to ascend past all of that density. It's not my job as a reader. It's not your mama's job, your father's job, your sister's job, your spouse's job, your friend's job. It's yours. Nobody can do this for yourself but you. This is why, as much as we can come together collectively and we can also utilize the power of the collective energies to help us ascend, we're all going to be in different realities and in accordance with how we are choosing to use the energies to heal. This is an individual journey, okay? So if you are not shifting, if you are not moving forward, and especially if you are not moving forward and you are being given the information as to how to, then maybe you are your own block. And you can be your own block in a multiple of ways. I already witnessed how this person was their own block by how they came at me. Because here's what I know about Ascension too. This is where this person gave themselves away also. A being who is ascending into these new earth energies and new earth realities is learning how to find the value in everything, and as such is able to be grateful for everything and everyone. Okay, so if you come into my fields and you've been watching my videos for a couple of weeks, even if I taught you something that you don't like, if you are truly ascending, you can either of your own free will choice choose to move away, and I encourage you to do so if what I'm sharing with you is not helping you, because I'm not here for everyone. I really am not for everyone. I'm not. Okay, but a person who is ascending is still able to take the lesson accrued from our time and be grateful for it, and even be grateful for me. This is how you know you're ascending too. There are many readers that recently, especially in the past few days, I have unsubscribed from, not because they're bad readers, not because they kept me in a loop, not because of any of that, but because of where they are on their journey and where I'm going now. It's no longer compatible, and that's okay. They have every right to be where they are on their path, and I have every right to be where I am on my path. And these are readers who I love, and I know that they're not here trying to necessarily buy into the commercialism of what the tarot community has become. Okay, I know that. I can sense when readers are moving in that direction, and I've left some of them for doing that too when it's become too out of hand. Okay, but the point of the matter is that you've got to get in where you fit in. That whole turning the energy around and projecting it onto the person who's been sent to be a gift to you is a very foolish thing to do. So for me, when I leave a reader, I don't leave a comment, you are blah, blah, blah. I don't say anything. I will unsubscribe and I will say thank you. You know, I might not say thank you in their comments, but I will energetically say thank you. I'll say thank you for helping me to get this far. Thank you for helping me to wake up to this aspect of the collective energy. Thank you for showing me this about myself. You know, I know from my own personal journey and personal, the next level of empowerment, our energies are no longer compatible, and that's fine. That's fine, because right now what we're here to do is champion one another in all reaching our own highest timelines individually, wherever that may be. We're not here to move all collectively together. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, which is why these planetary energies, for some people, you know, they were with me until March or April, and then they left. You get what I'm saying? Because they're able now to navigate these energies by themselves. And great, because that's what I'm here to help people do. I'm here to help you see the illusions. I'm here to help you get back your own authority over your energy, to see how to move so you can go out there and do it for yourself. That's what I'm here to do. It's even why I model you know, mentorship and everything. That's why I do it the way I do. I don't have programs. I don't lock anyone in. There's nothing that anyone can say that they've come to me to do that they've had to commit themselves or money to. I don't do that. If you want to come to me for a service one-off, that's fine. If you of your own free will and volition say, I want to mentor with you for 6 months, then I say, okay, we can do that. Let's find a price that works. But at any time, you're not locked in, because I'm not here to keep you coming back to me. I'm here for you to utilize the power of my gifts for as long as you need to, until you access the confidence to move in your own. That's what a healer does. So I say all of this because, you know, like, it's time for everyone to start taking responsibility for their own ascension. Because if you don't, then you are signing up to give your power away once again to the matrix. Because every time we choose to be a victim in this situation, we're feeding those false grids. That's all we're doing. So when this being came to me with that shit, I was like, you're not hurting me, you're hurting yourself. If you're not getting something from me anymore, then move on. You don't need to come to me and badmouth me and all of that. That's like low-key trying to energy harvest also. Like, okay. Anyway, I say all of this also because there's a grand shift that's occurring through this Virgo season, and it happens every Virgo season, and you start to see the birthing of it around Scorpio season. We work on a zodiac wheel. That means energies are constantly repeating themselves. It's just how are they expressing themselves every single time during the year. Okay, so that means that every Virgo season, the ability to move yourself into higher states of self-liberation is there. Every Virgo season. Now, in accordance with where the moon is, what degree, where it shows up, you know, in Virgo season, if it's a full moon first, the new moon after, whether planets are in retrograde, that's what gives us those tiny little touches every year that show us collectively what is available to help us move deeper into states of self-liberation. But we live on a wheel. Energies move through cycles. It's your job when you get where you want to get on the wheel and it's time for you to get off, it's your job to get off. It's not my job as a reader to tell you in a collective reading of all things, it's time for you to do anything. It's not, and I don't do that. I don't give timing in readings. Even if people come to me and ask me to tell them about timing, I don't do it. And I break down and I explain to them why. Because I'm not here to program your mind. I'm not here to make you hold on to a timeline that I've given you. I'm here to help you recognize that you have full creator ability to create the timeline you want. So let me help you create the timeline you want by showing you what your blocks are. I'll help you in that way, but I won't give you timing. I won't tell you any of that stuff, because then it's like you're giving away your power again and asking me to direct your life through cards. And yes, the cards will show you the energies of how to move in time, but they will show you that based upon where you are right now. Where you are right now. We are moving into, especially through Virgo season, we are moving into this energy window where we are able to become sovereign, to take back authorship over self. And that's going to require a big change in how we think, how we act, how we treat one another, and how we show up in the world. Because I've said this many times in readings too, the New Earth financial system is based upon your frequency. And your frequency is also based upon your ability to tune into value. You see, when you're able to find the value in everything, you're able to find the beauty in everything. When you're able to find the beauty in everything, you're able to easily access the expansive energies of love, joy, bliss. When you make that your reality, your ability to find the beauty and the love in everything, and your vibration is constantly in that place of finding the beauty, finding the love, and therefore accessing the joy, that's when it becomes your frequency. And that's when you begin to connect with who you always have been divinely. When you're able to see the value in self, you're able to see the value in everything and everyone. So a being who comes to me and is not able to find my value, has only told me one thing at this point. You are not able to find the value in yourself. That's all you've told me. You come to me and you insult me at this point, especially when I give of my energy on this platform freely, and I know for a fact that I'm helping people to ascend. You come to me and you tell me something that, I'm not even going to call it a lie because it's a matter of perspective. In your perspective, I've given you no value, which doesn't mean that's what I've actually done. It just means it's how you're perceiving it, which means it's how you ultimately perceive yourself, which is why you're not ascending, which is why you're not experiencing the shifts, which is why you're not accessing those higher timelines. It's because you haven't found the value in self. Until you find the value and the treasure in self, which is hidden under all of the layers and the densities and the veils of amnesia you had to come through, until you find the treasure and the value in self, you will continually complain and gripe and find what's wrong with someone else. And you will do it so well because some of y'all are so good at spiritually bypassing and love and lighting your way through everything that you will come at me and you will act as if it's wisdom when it's a heart chakra block. Don't go there with me. Don't go there with me. Do you know what accessing your gifts and your psychic powers truly is? It's when you're no longer living in self-deception. Everything is about self. You want to see things clearly. You want to connect to higher timelines. You want to connect with your gifts. Stop living a lie. Stop saying that you are vibing high and you've got all of these heart chakra blocks and you can't maintain the frequency, and so you're coming on people's channels and talking shit. I'm not your problem. You are. So there will be no more utilizing other beings as energetic punching bags. There's no more of that. And when you come into people's fields who are divinely aligned and you do that, you will end up miserable. And I said this to this person too. Part of your problem is if you're doing this to me, then you're probably doing it to other divinely aligned beings and you're wondering why things aren't going well for you. Well, when you mess with a messenger that's been divinely sent to help you, how is that different than what it is that all of these other so-called karmic energies have done to us? We were sent to them to be gifts too, and they misused us, and now the towers are falling for them and will continue until they learn how to find the value in themselves so that they're able to find the value in others and create a new value system that is compatible with the new earth frequencies. This is what it's about. Virgo season is a big window where a lot of that is shifting and changing for us. On the other side of that window, the ones that will be left standing, connecting to their highest timelines, are the ones who have been radically honest with self, are the ones who will no longer be living in pockets of self-deception and therefore trying to delude others or bring them into collusion with them. Because that's the thing also, people who live in self-deception need you to agree with their perception. I don't have to agree with you, and you don't have to agree with me. And I can still love you, and I can still respect you for who you are, what it is you bring to the world and to the table. The matrix is what makes you think that everyone's supposed to be in perfect agreement, and if you're not, then they're your enemy and all this other shit. We can disagree and still love. That's a really immature, low vibrational thing to think, that you have to disagree with someone and not love, and there can't be some kind of love there still. And I'm not saying every person you disagree with you can have that with. I'm not under illusion. Some people you are not supposed to mesh energies with. You're not. But this whole thing is like, get in where you fit in and know when it's time to leave the party. I did a reading about this. Maybe I'll pin it below again because people need a reminder. We seem to always need a reminder of these energies as we're moving into the air signs. We do, because it's time to recalibrate your mental energy. And you know, we've just moved into the second decan of Virgo season already, and Libra season is around the corner. And Libra season, Libra energy is beautiful. Libra is about the calibration of your energy field. It's about the calibration of the mental and the emotional energies now. It's time for the inner marriage to occur. It's time for reckoning. It's time for judgment. It's time to find out, have you really done the energetic work of healing your heart? By first healing the way you think. That's what Gemini season was really about, perfecting the Christed mind. And then through Cancer and Leo season, it was about readjusting the emotional waters to now align with the Christed mind and retuning the heart. And Virgo is about the integration and learning how to protect that through connecting with living in your truth, through being true to self first. And then Libra season is now about deeper integration and how far have you come? Is your heart truly as light as a feather, lighter than a feather? And what that is speaking about is that, do you have the ability now to soar above all of this? Have you taught yourself to be in this world but not of it? Have you healed yourself of the densities and the woundings that had you held down, that had you unable to ascend, that had you blocked and unable to connect with your own self-value, let alone other beings? Have you cleared yourself of the densities that were blocking your stargate? Have you cleared yourself of the densities that were keeping you bound, keeping you in loops? Because you weren't seeing clearly, because you weren't living truthfully. Every single loop we've gotten stuck in the matrix is because we weren't living truthfully, because we weren't seeing clearly. You only see clearly when you look through the eyes of your heart. But you only see clearly through the eyes of your heart when your heart is no longer blocked by heartache, grief, envy, jealousy, sadness, all of those burdens that are a result of the wounded childhood cycles, the wounded child cycles of the matrix. This is why through the Leo energy we heal the heart. You cannot project your shit onto a person who is in divine alignment and just think they're going to take it. We won't. For one thing, for the most part, it bounces off of us anyway. If one of us leaves you a comment and explains things and breaks them down, that's really out of the kindness of our hearts, because we don't really have to do it anymore. We don't. We don't. So if you are chilling on anyone's channel, not just mine, and you're not able to find the value in that being, and you're still chilling in their energy, you're putting yourself in debt. You're putting yourself in debt. Get out of their energy. unless you like your karmic cycles, unless you like your suffering. And let's talk about that too. Because I've been there also, and I had to break out of those contracts. Some of us like our pain and suffering. We don't on a conscious level, right? If anyone were to have asked us, if anyone were to have asked me like years ago, do you like your pain and suffering? I of course would have said no. Who's going to answer that in their right mind? But most of us weren't in our right minds, were we? We weren't in our Christed minds. And there was a part of us that liked the pain and suffering because the victimhood, we learned it from childhood that at least we could get attention that way. At least we could get our needs somewhat met in a distorted fashion for as long as we were hurt or in pain, right? How many of you had parents who only really paid attention to you when there was something wrong? And you internalized that as a child and continued to do that as an adult and didn't even realize it's what you were doing. Many of us like our pain and suffering because it's how we learn to get attention. And when we're radically honest with ourselves about that, that's when we can break that contract. Do you know how many people have contracts with their own pain and suffering? And low-key, they're in contract with that because of that wound. And they're running around telling other people, I'm stuck in a loop because of you. No, you're stuck in a loop because you refuse to see that part of self that continually contracts with your own pain and suffering because it became a survival mechanism, but you don't want to admit that. That's why. That's why. And the minute you see that and stop living in self-deception is the minute you can get free and heal yourself of that wound. But for as long as you're running around telling other people that they're keeping you in a loop, when really on an unconscious level, you like your pain and you're not dealing with that part of yourself that learned to like your pain or get used to being in pain in order to get fake love, until you come to terms with that, you're just going to continue doing that unconsciously and still looking outside of yourself and wondering why you're not getting the results you want. Because you're still in karmic contracts. Even if you've walked away from the being, you're in karmic contract with an energy that has kept you in lower states. So I brought this message back in I think the end of Taurus season. And I'm bringing it again. Collectives, groups, all these energies are about to shift again because they have to. They're constantly shifting, it's true. And then there are times when there are magnanimous shifts. And here's another one happening right now through Virgo season. Because it's time for us to be reshuffled and to find our highest timelines. So this again is that energy of know when to leave the party. Know when you've received everything that you can at any given time for your own soul's evolution. Know when you've received it and leave with gratitude. And maybe you'll come back to that person. Maybe you'll come back to that reader. Maybe you'll come back. But right now, where you are in your frequency, it might not match. Let me tell you, when you are in sync with someone, it feels good. It feels good. Those of you who like to come on to readers, watch people on YouTube, and you don't like them, leave them alone. Get out of their energy. Leave them alone. If you don't like them, there's a clashing of the energy there. Why would you sit down and make yourself stay? Except for those of you who know you don't like them and you just like to sit down because you're just miserable and you try to project that energy. Do what you've got to do. It's still coming back on you. But I'm talking about people who are genuinely trying to heal, wanting to heal. If you don't like a person, you don't have to like them. You don't have to like me. That doesn't make you a low vibrational being. That just means we're not on the same wavelength right now. We might be another time, we might not ever be, and that's okay. We can accept that, and we can love one another and keep it moving. We can love one another and not have to be in one another's energy. So these are lessons that we're all going to have to learn, because there's so much trying to hold on to people and hold on to energy and be in places where we're not supposed to be, and then get upset because we miss timelines. You're missing your timeline because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time to jump onto it, because you're too busy in someone else's energy who your own soul is revealing is not right for you. This person is not right for you. It doesn't feel right. And I'm not talking about what happens when you might get triggered by a person because you're healing, but I'm not talking about triggers. That happens when I watch readers that I'm in alignment with and they call me out on shit. I get triggered too. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have an issue with the person. You may not know why. You don't really need to know why. You don't have to find a reason to accuse them of anything. Just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Okay? This is where, this is where now moving forward, you will get to your highest timeline when you stay in your own lane and you just keep it moving. Those of you who like to loiter and be in places where you don't belong, don't complain when you miss your stop. And don't blame someone else for getting you in a loop. It's your responsibility. Wait a minute. When you get on a train or a bus and you know where you're supposed to be going, if you miss that stop, do you go to the bus conductor or the train conductor and yell at them for making you miss your stop? Did they not stop where you were supposed to get off? Okay, then whose responsibility is it to move off the bus or the train? Like, come on. Like this kind of energy, it pisses me off. And it came through a comment, but I feel it all the time when there's a grand shift. So I'm coming here to speak about it tonight because it's like, it pisses me off because no one has to be stuck. It's not even the behavior of the person. It's not the slight against me. It's not any of that. I don't care about that. But you don't have to stay a victim. You don't have to stay stuck. The energies are here for all of us to move forward, even the most karmic of beings. The only reason some of them are truly stuck is because they continually disrespected their own higher selves. That's why. They blocked off their own third eye. They can't even see, let alone grab onto the opportunities at this point. But that again is due to choice. It didn't have to be that way. So please, as we move deeper into Virgo season, as we move up to what they call the 9/9 portal, be fiercely aware of your own energy and your own timelines and your own choices and your own responsibility to ascend and to get off at your own stop. Because readers are here to simply guide you on what's happening in the collective energies. And energy works as a cycle. And you should be really happy it works as a cycle and it's not linear. Because if it were linear, you'd be fucked. If it were linear, that means if you missed your stop back here, you ain't getting off of it. You can't get off again. At least with a cycle, it means if you miss the lesson and you didn't get off, you can come around again and get off the next time. That's what a cycle affords you. Now, if you keep on going around in a loop, that's because you're not learning. And I don't care what situation you're in at this point. I'm gonna be real. At a certain point, when we get stuck in loops, it's because we are not learning. Because most of the time, the only reason that our situations get so dire is because we didn't learn the time before, and the time before, and the time before. And we didn't want to jump off. We didn't want to trust. We didn't want to listen. Whatever reason. I know it because I've been there, and I can be there in a hot second again too. It's a choice. Every time it's a choice. It's a choice to leap. It's a choice to trust yourself. It's a choice to trust the divine. It's not some magical ticket that someone's going to give you and escort you off at your stop. That's not how it works. And the readers are not your magical tickets and guides either. We're here to show you the energies that are available to you, and you get in where you fit in. Period. I get really pissed off about things like this too, because I work very hard to try my best to help people navigate through the illusions of these heavy energies. I try very hard to do that. That's why I don't just do straight up readings. It's why I try my best to teach as I read. It's why even when you come to me, I don't do a straight up reading. I don't give a fuck what someone else is thinking about you. I really don't. And you shouldn't either. What do you think about you? Because the minute that your thoughts come into alignment with who you are divinely, the beings that come into your energy will match that too. And that's what I tell people all the time. When I do a love reading for someone, it's all about calibrating yourself to the energy you want to receive, because you're creating your reality. You're creating your reality. I'm creating my reality. And the realities that we're living in, guess what? We created those too. Maybe because of energies that we were coerced by and all this other stuff. Yes, that's very true. And yet and still, it was us. This mess that we are in this world, it was created by us. It was created through us. And furthermore, what I find really funny is that people think that thousands of years of dense energies and illusions will just suddenly, is just going to suddenly shift for you because of Ascension. When you live on one of the most densest planes of reality, it's just going to suddenly shift. It got this stuck through cycles. It's going to get unstuck through cycles. How unstuck it gets for you, the acceleration of the energy in your own fields, is fully dependent upon you learning how to move through them. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? So it's 2:44 on my clock. We're 41 minutes in. It seems like a good time to end. If you've stuck with me this far, I thank you. Yeah, I don't really have much to say at this point. To those of you who are true warriors, true supporters, true lovers, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. And you are probably the ones who don't need this message, but you're still here listening right now. And the ones who actually need the message probably tuned out, and that's fine too. That is fine too. So anyway, I'm sending all of you guys love, joy, peace, stability, focus, vision, clarity. Every beautiful thing under the sun, that when you grab a hold of your truth and you walk in it, it becomes your reality because you command it to do so, because it's your birthright. Yes. For all information about working with me, you can always check my website, So-La-Rah.info. That information is in the description box below. But I'm going to love you guys and see you again soon. Until next time, be well. Mwah.